high in the Himalayas, where the earth seems to touch the stars. Monks whisper stories older than the mountains themselves, tales passed down in silence. Not written in history books, but etched into the soul of a people who remember more than they should. Stories of gods who flew not in metaphor, but in machines. Of battles fought above the clouds. Of beings so radiant and terrible that when they walked the earth, time bent around them. In the West, we call these tales myths. In the East, they are scripture. In the ancient lands of India, Nepal, and Tibet, spiritual traditions don't separate the sacred from the cosmic. Their gods don't descend in dreams. They arrive in chariots of fire, riding the wind, glowing with power. Their texts speak with the calm confidence of a witness. Let us begin with the oldest of them all, the Rig Veda, one of the world's most ancient sacred texts, dated over 3,500 years ago. In it, we read of celestial vehicles called Vimanas, not poetic illusions craft described with stunning detail. Some are disc-shaped, some cigar-like, others more pyramidic. They are said to move silently, change direction instantly, and soar as swift as thought. One verse describes a Vimana that rose like the sun and thundered like 100 drums. Another mentions a city in the sky, lit by stars and made of metal, that hovered over kingdoms below. Fast forward to the Mahabharata, India's epic saga of gods, kings, and war. But hidden between the poetry and philosophy lies something stranger war in the sky. A blazing missile possessed of the radiance of a smokeless fire. It burst with the brilliance of 10,000 suns. Elephants were burned by the heat. Trees went up in flames. The water boiled. The birds turned white and fell from the sky. These are not lightning strikes, not natural disasters. They sound hauntingly like modern descriptions of nuclear detonations. Radiation, fallout, blinding flashes of light. Cities turned to ash. And it wasn't just one battle. The epic tells of multiple skyborne conflicts fought by the gods, witnessed by humans. One god's Vimana launches projectiles that follow their target unerringly. Another uses a beam of light that blinds and paralyzes. If these texts came from 20th century science fiction, they'd seem thrilling but expected. But they're from a civilization over 3,000 years old. Were these descriptions metaphorical? Or were the authors trying to describe something very real, using the only language they had? Tibet adds its own mystery. Tucked within monasteries that date back millennia are scrolls that describe beings known as the La Radiant. Godlike entities who arrived from the sky in spinning crafts. They taught meditation, geometry, and the laws of the cosmos. The stories claim the La lived in sky cities, ruled through vibration, and would return at the end of a great age. Tibetan monks don't worship these beings. They remember them. And in secret chambers under the Potala Palace, it said there are ancient relics, circular stone plates covered in symbols not yet translated. Legends say these are star records left by sky visitors who came before the Buddha. Who came and waited. Even the Dalai Lama once said in an interview, "There are other worlds, other beings. Not all are visible. Some are among us already." This belief isn't fringe. It's woven into the worldview of millions. So what were these Vimanas? These radiant beings, these flying cities? Ancient alien theorists suggest the gods of India were not gods at all, but visitors from advanced civilizations, beings whose appearance and power were so overwhelming that early humans saw them as divine. But here's where it gets deeper. The ancient Indian texts don't describe just the machines. They describe the consciousness needed to operate them. In the Samarangana Sutradhara, an ancient Sanskrit text on architecture and technology, it said that the pilot of a Vimana must master stillness of thought, inner balance, and control over breath. Without this, the craft will not respond. The mind is the engine, the soul, the compass. This suggests something astounding. These were consciousness-powered machines. Technology so advanced, it blurred the line between thought and flight, between spirit and science. And maybe that's why they left. Maybe these sky beings didn't just gift us tools, but left us a challenge. When your heart is as pure as ours, you'll know how to return. In temples across India, carvings still show flying chariots, men with control panels, gods holding crystal orbs. In some cases, the temples themselves are aligned with celestial constellations, not just to observe the stars, but to honor their origin. Modern scientists have studied these alignments, the mathematics of the temples, and the advanced geometry of the Sri Yantra designed so precise, it holds mathematical ratios found in quantum theory and space-time equations. Or are we looking at a long-lost language of contact? India and Tibet may not be just the keepers of ancient wisdom. They may be the survivors of an ancient alliance, one that once bridged earth and sky, but faded when we forgot how to listen. And now, perhaps we are remembering. Off the coast of modern-day Gujarat, beneath the warm waters of the Arabian Sea, lies the whisper of a city that shouldn't exist. A city sung in epic poetry, a city said to have been built by a god and destroyed by one too. This is Dwarka, the sacred golden city of Krishna. For centuries, it was considered myth, divine metaphor, a spiritual symbol. But in 2001, sonar scans revealed something startling: massive geometric structures. Paved roads, grids of walls, and what appeared to be the remains of an ancient harbor, all buried beneath the waves. Carbon dating and archaeological analysis suggest these ruins may be over 9,000 years old, predating the earliest known Indian civilizations by millennia. It was as if a whole chapter of human history had been erased or buried. According to the Mahabharata, Krishna's city of Dwarka was unlike any other. Built with celestial assistance, filled with glowing towers, flying chariots, crystal domes, and technology so advanced, it resembled a spaceport more than a settlement. Krishna himself was said to travel in a craft that lit up the sky like 1,000 suns, that moved without touching the ground, and could appear or disappear at will. When the Great War ended, one fought with flying machines and weapons of cosmic force. Krishna foresaw a dark age coming, summoned the gods, and Dwarka was swallowed by the sea, not by chance, by design. As if what lay there was too powerful, too dangerous, or too sacred for the coming age of forgetfulness. And more importantly, what knowledge did Krishna and the other sky beings leave behind? Ancient Sanskrit texts, like the Samarangana Sutradhara, give us clues. Often overlooked by mainstream scholars, this treatise describes in intricate detail how to build and power a Vimana. Not in fairy tale language, but in engineering terms. It speaks of propulsion through mercury vortex engines, guidance systems, heat-resistant materials, and aerodynamic designs that seem impossible for its time. One passage even warns that if the pilot is impure in heart or mind, the craft will turn against him. This isn't just technology, it's sacred technology. Tools fused with ethics. Machines that require alignment of the soul, not just the hands. And this theme appears again and again throughout India's ancient record. Knowledge was never just given, it was guarded. Which brings us to one of India's most compelling mysteries, the legend of the 9 unknown men, according to folklore. Over 2,000 years ago, Emperor Ashoka, after witnessing a brutal war, founded a secret society of 9 sages. Each was entrusted with a book of supreme knowledge, one on anti-gravity, one on biological warfare, one on time travel, another on communication with other worlds. Their purpose: to protect this wisdom from falling into the wrong hands? To preserve the sacred science until humanity was ready? Many believe this group exists still, that they quietly influence science, medicine, technology, nudging humanity forward. But only just enough. A legend, perhaps. But it mirrors stories from Tibet, where it's said that the LA left their libraries in the mountains, accessible only to monks of a certain vibration. Where secret tunnels connect monasteries to underground chambers of light. Where oracles speak of a day when the gods return not from the sky, but from the memory of earth. Even more fascinating is how ancient temples across India, particularly those in Khajuraho, Ellora, and Konark, are designed with impossible precision. Some contain carvings of rocket-like ships, men in spacesuits, and symbols that resemble modern aeronautical diagrams. Coincidence? Or are these codes? Warnings? Invitations? There is a growing belief that ancient India was not only visited by beings from other worlds, it was chosen as a repository, a seed vault of spiritual science, designed not to conquer space, but to reunite with it. Because here's the deeper truth the texts seem to whisper. The gods didn't come to rule. They came to remind us that the stars are not far. That divinity isn't up there, it's inside. That Vimanas weren't just built of metal and fire, but of frequency, intention, consciousness. Maybe Krishna didn't fly because he had a machine. Maybe he flew because he remembered how. And now, as science begins to rediscover vibration, energy healing, and quantum consciousness, perhaps we're not advancing. Perhaps we're returning. There are temples in India and Tibet that are not simply built. They are tuned to the stars, tuned to frequencies, tuned to something beyond the limits of ordinary time and space. When you step inside them, something shifts. You feel it not as a tourist, but as a soul. The air gets thicker, your thoughts slow down, the silence hums. These aren't just monuments, they're machines. Machines of spirit, machines of memory, and perhaps machines of contact. Take the Temple of Konark in Orissa, India, built in the shape of a colossal chariot. Said to belong to the sun god Surya, its massive stone wheels, aligned precisely with the solar calendar, function as sundials. But the carvings go deeper. They depict cosmic beings, musicians levitating through sound, even geometric diagrams that some believe represent ancient wave mechanics. Now look at Ellora, where the Kailasa temple carved from a single rock was not constructed, but excavated top-down, as if guided by knowledge beyond human means. In its chambers, where no tools were supposedly used, the vibration is different. It echoes not just with sound, but with resonance, as if waiting for something to reawaken it. And across these temples are symbols, yantras, mandalas, spirals, not decoration, but codes. These patterns have been found to produce harmonic frequencies when exposed to sound. Certain Sanskrit mantras, when chanted inside these structures, create standing waves geometries of invisible force. The ancients called it Nada Brahma, the universe's sound. But here's the mystery. Why would people thousands of years ago design temples that resonate like tuning forks, lest they were more than places of prayer, lest they were activation sites? What if these structures were meant to interface with the stars? To align energy not only on Earth but between Earth and something out there? Across Indian texts, we find consistent references to celestial gateways, opened not by machines, but by frequency and consciousness. Some Vimanas were said to lift off, not with fuel but through vibrational alignment. In one Sanskrit scroll, the pilot of a Vimana is instructed to recite a sequence of mantras before flight, not for ritual, but for navigation, because thought was the engine, intention was the compass. And what if some of these temples were never meant to fly but to call? To send out frequencies to the stars to invite a return? Or to awaken what lies dormant within us? This may not be fiction. In recent years, physicists and archaeologists have begun to collaborate in what they call archaeoacoustics, the study of sound in ancient structures. At sites like Ellora and the Meenakshi Temple, they've discovered acoustic hotspots, places where whispered sounds amplify, circle, and fold back in. It's as if these chambers were designed to speak to something beyond us, through us. And this idea is echoed in Tibetan monastic traditions, where mantras are not just prayers, they are keys. Certain chants passed down through generations are said to open energetic portals, not allegorically literally. The monks speak of Shambhala, a hidden realm not located on a map, but within a vibration. It's only accessible to those whose hearts are clear and minds still, where time folds and where the sky beings still dwell. They say the ancient temples are anchors, built at the right frequencies, on the right earth, at the right cosmic moments, to hold that connection open just enough for the right soul to hear it. And what about today? Some say these temples are reactivating, that the celestial alignments are returning, that vibrations are rising, that those who meditate at these sites, especially during eclipses, solstices, and star transits, are beginning to receive dreams, visions, downloads. Could we be approaching a moment the ancients foresaw? It's not the arrival of gods in flaming chariots, but the reunion of mind, body, and cosmos. A remembering of how to fly not with wings, but with will. Not to escape Earth, but to awaken its true purpose. And maybe that's why the gods left. because they never meant to lead us forever. They came to light the fire and trusted we would keep it burning. Thousands of years later, the flames are stirring again. We're seeing their symbols, hearing their chants, feeling their call. The temples are humming, machines are waking, and the stars are listening. Thank you for watching episode 6 of Alien Landings Across Ancient Civilizations. In this chapter, we journeyed through the sacred landscapes of India and Tibet, where gods flew not in fantasy, but perhaps in memory. Where temples may not just honor the stars, but be designed by them. And where the true key to contact lies, not in reaching out, but in tuning in.